My name is Marcus. I am 16 years old, and I want to talk about snap maps because most people think of it as a harmless little feature, a cute dot on a map. Your friends can see where you are? No big deal. That is what I thought too. Right up until the morning I woke up and could see my own breath inside my bedroom. If you are watching this late at night, go check which apps have your location turned on. Right now. Before I even finish this sentence, I will wait. Okay, good. Now let me tell you why. I grew up in a mid-sized town in the Midwest. Not a city, not a small town. One of those in-between places where everybody knows everybody, but not well enough to actually help you when something goes wrong. I was a sophomore in high school when this happened. Snap Maps had just rolled out, and everyone at my school had it on. It was just part of using Snapchat. Nobody thought twice about it. There was a kid at my school named Derek. I want to be precise about how I describe him, because it matters later. He was not the kind of person who looked dangerous. He was thin and quiet, and he kept to himself in a way that was not shy. Shy people look away when you catch them staring. Derek did not look away. He would hold eye contact just a second too long, and then go back to whatever he was doing like nothing happened. He sat alone at the corner table in the cafeteria every single day. He was always there before anyone else, and always the last to leave. I had known who Derek was since 5th grade. We had never had a real conversation. So when I got the notification that Derek added me on Snapchat, my first reaction was confusion more than anything else. My username was not my real name. It was a random handle I made up freshman year. The only way he had it was if he had gone out of his way to find it somewhere. I added him back anyway. I still do not have a good explanation for why. Maybe I felt bad. Maybe I figured it was easier than leaving him on pending. Whatever the reason, I accepted it and put my phone down. Less than 2 minutes later, he sent me a snap. I did not open it right away. I could see from the icon it was a photo, but I could not see what it was of. I left it there and went down for dinner and came back and watched some TV and went through my whole evening routine. It was almost 11 when I finally sat down on my bed and picked up my phone. The photo was of the school cafeteria, taken from the corner, his corner, looking across the entire room, zoomed in on one specific table, my table, more specifically zoomed in on me, mid-laugh, mid-conversation, arms up, mouth open, completely unaware that someone across the cafeteria had been pointing a camera at me. I scrolled to the next snap. It was a video. It started with the wide shot again. Then the lunch bell rang and everyone started getting up. The camera stayed still for a second, and then it zoomed in, slowly, smoothly, right onto me as I stood and pushed my chair back and walked toward the lunch exit. Following me the whole way, steady and deliberate, the caption said one word: cute LOL. I put my phone down on the nightstand and sat there for a while. I want to be honest about what happened in my head. Part of me wondered if I was overreacting. Maybe Derek just genuinely did not understand how strange this was. Maybe he had social difficulties and this was his version of reaching out. I talked myself out of blocking him. I told myself I would just ignore it and it would fade. I turned off the light and lay in the dark. 20 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Snapchat message from Derek. The preview said you live on Ashwood Drive, right? I went very still. Ashwood Drive is my street. I had never told Derek where I lived. I had never told him anything. His next message came in before I could process the first one. I can see you on the map. I opened Snap Maps. My little icon was sitting right there on Ashwood Drive in real time, visible to everyone on my friends list, including Derek, who I had added approximately 3 hours ago. I turned off location sharing immediately. Then the messages started coming. Why aren't you answering? Hey, I know you saw it. Come on. Then the photo indicator started stacking up. Snap after snap after snap, queuing in the chat without me opening any of them. I watched the notification count climb. 7, 11, 15. I thought about blocking him. I had my thumb on his profile, but I did not do it. I put the phone face down and told myself that if I just went quiet long enough, he would stop. I fell asleep around midnight. I always sleep with my window closed. It is December in the Midwest. That is not optional. I checked it before I got in bed the way I always do. The latch was set. The closet door was fully closed. I have shut that closet door every single night for years without thinking about it. When I woke up the next morning, I could see my breath. I mean that literally. I sat up and exhaled and watched a small white cloud form in the cold air of my room. The kind of cold that does not belong inside a house. The window was wide open, all the way up. The curtains were blowing sideways in the December wind. I got up and latched it and turned around. The closet door was open, pushed all the way back against the wall. I stood there in the freezing cold and looked at that open closet door for a long moment. Then I picked up my phone. 17 unread snaps from Derek, time-stamped from just after midnight through 2 in the morning. The first snap was a photo of a sidewalk at night. Just a sidewalk. Orange light from a street lamp, dead leaves at the curb, nothing else. The second snap was a photo of a house. It was my house. Shot from across the street, porch light on, upstairs windows dark. The big oak tree in the front yard reduced to bare black branches against the gray winter sky. The brick and vinyl siding completely clear and recognizable. The third snap was taken from the driveway, looking up at the side of the house, pointed at one specific window, my window. The fourth snap was taken from directly outside that window, looking in through the glass. The curtains were slightly open. Through the gap, you could see my TV still on in the corner, the blue light washing across the ceiling, and in the bed. Me, asleep. He had been standing outside my window in the middle of a December night, and he had taken a photo of me sleeping. The fifth snap was not taken from outside. There was no reflection in the image, no window glass, no exterior angle. The frame was inside my room. Standing somewhere near the end of the bed, you could see the TV light across the bookshelf, the desk, the nightstand, and me in the bed. He had been inside my room. My hands were shaking when I opened the sixth snap. It was taken from inside my closet. Through the narrow gap between the door and the frame, the thin crack of visibility you get when the door is almost but not fully closed, looking out across the room, bed visible, me in it, completely still. He had been standing in my closet in the dark, door pulled almost shut, watching me from 3 feet away. For some amount of time I will never know because I was asleep. I read the messages. The early ones were impatient. Why aren't you answering? I know you're awake. Come on. Then around midnight, the tone shifted completely. I'm gonna come see you. You have snap maps on, so it's easy to find you. I've actually been by your place before. Then at 12:14, your window latch doesn't fully catch. The side pin. I pushed it up from outside. Hope that's okay. I've been watching for a little while. Then at 12:51, you have a lot of stuff on your shelves. Nice room. Then at 1:30, I went into the closet. I like this. I like watching people sleep. They look so calm and they don't even know. Then at 2:02, I took some pictures. So you know I was really here. I should probably head out. You're welcome. Sleep tight. I sat on the edge of my bed and read those messages 4 times. He had been in my closet for over an hour. 3 feet away from me in the dark door, pulled almost closed, watching me breathe. I went to screenshot the photos, but I had opened every snap without screenshotting first, and they were already gone. Auto-deleted the moment I opened them. I had the messages. I had nothing else. I went down the hall and knocked on my parents' door. My dad read every message without saying a word. Then he handed the phone to my mom. She read it once, looked up at me, and read it again. My dad went downstairs and checked every exterior door. The side door off the kitchen was unlocked. He was certain he had locked it before coming to bed. He checks it every single night. He went outside to look at my window. There were fresh scratches on the aluminum track of the lower sash. Bright, clean marks in the metal with no weathering on them at all. Something thin had been worked between the sash and the frame to push the latch pin back. Concentrated and deliberate marks. He had brought something with him specifically to open that window. This was not an impulse decision. He had come prepared. My dad called the police. The screenshots of Derek's messages were enough. His own words. "I found you on Snap Maps. I let myself in through the window. I am standing in your closet right now." A written confession in a Snapchat chat log. Derek was charged with breaking and entering. He did not come back to school. About 6 weeks later, someone told my mom that Derek and his father had moved out of town. No one seemed to know where they went. I moved my bed away from the window. My dad put new locks on every window in the house. Secondary pin locks that cannot be opened from outside regardless of the latch. I check the closet before I get in bed, every single night. I open the door all the way and look at the floor and look at the corners. It takes 15 seconds. I cannot skip it. The idea of getting into bed without checking makes me feel physically ill. And I keep a lamp on in the corner of my room now. I have not slept in complete darkness since that morning. Snap Maps showed him where I was. Every single night that location dot was sitting on Ashwood Drive like an invitation, and he accepted it. Go check which apps have your location turned on. All of them, not just Snapchat, all of them. I have a second story to tell you. This one is shorter, but in some ways it is more disturbing because it happened in broad daylight. My name is Jordan. I was 17 when this happened, also a junior in high school. At my school, there was a kid named Alex. If Derek from the first story was the kind of person who scared you because of what you could not see him doing, Alex was different. Alex scared you because of what he had already done and was proud of. He had been suspended twice before I was in 9th grade. Once for putting something dead inside another student's locker, the second time for a reason that was never made fully clear to anyone, but involved a teacher's personal vehicle. Alex had bowl-cut brown hair and skin so pale it looked grayish under the school fluorescent lights. He smiled at wrong times. He thought disturbing things were funny, not dark humor funny, actually funny to him in a way that did not translate. I did not remember adding him on Snapchat, but one afternoon while I was playing a video game, I got a notification. Alex had sent me a snap. I could see from the icon it was a photo. I finished the round I was in, died, and then unlocked my phone and opened it. It was an extremely close-up photo of a door handle, specifically of the locking mechanism, the deadbolt on a residential front door. The caption said one word. "Hello." I screenshotted it immediately. I had a feeling I should. I texted him directly and asked why he sent me that. He responded with another photo. Blurry shot through a window looking into the interior of a house. The angle was slightly downward, like the person was standing outside on a deck or patio and pointing the camera in. It took me 2 or 3 seconds to recognize the kitchen cabinets, the particular shade of the tile backsplash, the position of the microwave on the counter. It was my kitchen. I screenshotted that one too, and then I ran. I came around the corner into the kitchen and looked out the window, and he was standing on our back deck. He saw me see him, and he started laughing. Not nervously, not the way someone laughs when they get caught. Genuinely entertained. I went around through the dining room and threw open the side door. He was still standing there on the deck. His right hand was behind his back. I told him to get off our deck. He did not move right away. He just looked at me, And then very slowly, he brought his right hand out from behind his back. He was holding a knife, not a pocket knife, a fixed blade kitchen knife, long enough that I noticed it immediately from 6 feet away. I stepped back inside and slammed the door and locked it. I yelled through the door that I was calling 911 if he did not leave right now. He smiled at me through the glass panel in the door. A real smile, like something good had just happened. Then he turned and walked off the deck, slowly, completely unhurried, down the steps and into the backyard and gone. I ran through every room on the ground floor, checking that all the exterior doors were locked. Then I called my mom. I never found out what Alex intended to do that day. I have thought about it a lot over the years. The knife was not something he grabbed on impulse. He brought it with him. He came to my house with a knife already in his hand before he knocked on the door or announced himself in any way. My mom called the police. Between the screenshots and the neighbor's security camera that caught Alex entering our backyard from the alley, there was enough to file a report. Alex was suspended again, then expelled shortly after for something unrelated. I still think about that smile through the glass door sometimes. The third story is mine. My name is Tyler, and this one is still not fully resolved. I have a decently large Instagram following for someone my age. Nothing famous, but enough that I get random people adding me on Snapchat sometimes because my username is in my bio. Usually it is harmless, usually. One rainy Tuesday night, I was hanging out at my friend's apartment when 2 accounts added me at the same time. KC Welsh and Bree Owens. Both accounts had low Snap scores. One had a couple hundred, the other had maybe 2,000. Brand new or barely used accounts. I added them back out of habit and figured I would see what happened. About 20 minutes later, KC sent me a snap. Black screen, just a caption in the center. "You're cute." I ignored it. It read like someone messing around. I put the phone down and kept hanging out. But I checked Snap Maps out of curiosity. KC and Bree both had their locations shared. They were together, same dot, sitting in what looked like a car based on how the dot was positioned relative to the roads. Not that far from where I was. I had to head home anyway because the rain was getting bad. I said goodbye to my friend, went down to the parking garage, got in my car and pulled out onto the street. The highway was quiet. Most people had the sense to stay home in that kind of rain. Visibility was low and the roads were slick and I was driving well under the limit. A car appeared behind me, normal enough. I took my exit off the highway. The car took the same exit. I turned left onto the main surface road toward my neighborhood. The car turned left too. I made the secondary turn onto my street. So did the car. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my heart was going hard enough that I could feel it in my jaw. I cut the engine and sat there in the dark watching my mirrors. The car did not pass. It slowed to a stop along the curb about 40 feet ahead of where my driveway met the street. Engine still running, headlights on in the rain. I opened Snapchat and checked the map. KC and Bree's dot was right on top of my house. I closed the app and picked up my phone and called home. My dad answered on the second ring. I told him there was a car outside and I needed him to come out right now, and I stayed on the phone while he came downstairs and out the front door. The car began reversing while he was still on the porch, moving back toward my driveway, coming closer. My dad walked down the front steps and out toward the street and the car stopped. Then it pulled forward and drove off past him. I ran through the rain and got inside. My dad had his arm around me before the door was fully closed. He asked me who those people were. I asked him what he meant. He said he got a look at the car as it went by under the streetlight. He said he saw at least 3 men in that car. Not 2 girls, 3 large men, all of them looking directly at him as they drove past. 3 men in a car registered to 2 Snapchat accounts named KC Welsh and Bree Owens. I did not sleep well that night, but I did sleep. 2 nights later, I woke up at 2 in the morning to sounds outside my window. Something moving in the yard. Leaves crunching, garbage cans shifting, the sounds of someone who was not being careful because they did not think anyone was awake. I lay completely still. The blinds were open. I could see a faint glow from the street light at the edge of the window frame. I did not look. I could not make myself look at that window. Then a voice low and close from just outside the glass. "I know you're awake. Don't move." I stopped breathing, and then I realized the voice was my dad's. He had been crouching below my window in the dark watching the yard, and he had seen me shift in the bed and thought I was about to sit up toward the window. He told me not to move. I stayed still. I heard footsteps in the yard, moving away. My dad waited another 2 full minutes before he said it was okay and came inside. He had watched the same car from the other night parked down the street. He had gone outside quietly to watch it. He had seen at least one person get out of the car and come into our yard toward the side of the house. When my dad appeared in the yard, the person went back to the car. They drove off. My dad called the police that morning and gave them the plate number he had memorized. The plate came back to a car registered in another county. The detective assigned to our case could not immediately connect it to the Snapchat accounts. The investigation is still open as of the time I am recording this. My dad has not been sleeping. He goes downstairs at 2 or 3 in the morning and sits by the window. He has been doing it for 2 weeks now. I used to think Snapchat was just an app for sending stupid photos to your friends. It is still that. But Snap Maps means that every person on your friends list knows where you are, in real time, down to the street, down to the building, and you can add someone to Snapchat without thinking twice about it because that is just what you do. You accept requests, you add people back, you keep your location on because your actual friends can see it too, and that is convenient. But you have no way of knowing who is staring at your dot at 11 at night. You have no way of knowing who is memorizing when it arrives home and when it stays still long enough to mean you are asleep. 3 of us lost something this past year that most people take completely for granted. The feeling of being safe inside your own home. The feeling that your bedroom is yours and only yours when you are in it. Derek stood in a closet 3 feet from a sleeping person for over an hour. Alex came to a front door with a knife he had brought from home. 3 men in a car sat outside a house at 2 in the morning because 2 fake Snapchat accounts with combined scores under 3,000 said, "Come here." I do not know what they wanted. That is the part I cannot stop thinking about. I do not know what any of them actually wanted. Turn off your location, all of it. Because somewhere tonight a dot on a map is sitting still and someone is watching it and waiting for it to stop moving for good.